Hello, and welcome to Discovery Tapes. The routes have been chosen to show you the most beautiful views and the greatest variety of scenery, as well as covering the majority of the principal places of interest to the visitor. The scenic drive you have chosen starts and finishes in the market town of Bakewell and is approximately 27 miles long. Each of the Discovery Drives outlines the beauty of nature to be seen in the Derbyshire landscape. The route takes in green and leafy lanes, quaint and charming villages and heather-covered moors, to say nothing of the stately homes en route. The time needed to complete this narrated tour is entirely up to you. Stop wherever you wish and visit wherever you want. Have a picnic or take a stroll, but please remember to stop the tape whenever you park or you are held up at a junction. And if you have missed a direction or information, just rewind the tape to that point and continue your journey. As with many country roads, they can be narrow in places, and like the Peak District scenery, always expect the unexpected. The drives are based on an approximate speed of 40 miles an hour on main roads, to as little as 15 miles an hour on the narrower sections. Before you start your journey, set the odometer to 0. This will give you an idea of where you are on the route. I hope you enjoy your tour, and I look forward to joining you on the other Discovery Drives in this series. The drive starts from the marketplace behind the information centre in Bakewell. Remember, if you are held up at the traffic lights or junctions, switch off until you are able to move on again. When you are ready to move forward, with the Peacock Hotel and the Queen's Hotel on our right, we travel towards the Wheatsheaf Hotel opposite, and at the one-way system, we have to turn left. Immediately move over to the right-hand lane and across the Pelican Crossing towards the traffic island in the centre of town. In front of you, you will see the Rutland Arms Hotel. At the island, turn left, taking the A6 to Matlock and Derby. Follow the road out of Bakewell until we reach the open countryside. If you require fuel as we pass the filling stations, pause the tape until you are ready to continue, and I will tell you a little about Haddon Hall. After approximately 1 mile, we come to a wooded area on our left, after which we will reach the entrance to Haddon Hall, also on our left, and there is a car park on our right. Haddon Hall has been the home of the Duke of Rutland for over 400 years, although there has been a dwelling on the site since the Domesday Book. The hall, as seen today, looking like a tapestry, is a magnificent example of medieval and Tudor architecture, and remains untouched by the hands of time or modernization. There is one courtyard behind another, and its walls, towers, turrets and windows illustrate the development of English building from Norman to Georgian, and could be said to be an architectural masterpiece. If you wish to visit the hall, do not miss the terraced gardens, heavy with the scent of roses, adding to the romance surrounding the love story of the elopement of Lady Dorothy Vernon with Sir John Manners, the son of the Earl of Rutland, in 1558. Back to more mundane matters. The exquisite Norman chapel contains medieval wall paintings, and the kitchens and dining parlour have changed little since 1500. Pause the tape now and switch on again if you have visited the house or when you reach Haddon Hall car park on your right. Continue on the A6 towards the dual carriageway and to the village of Rowsley. This is a small village, which once was the haunt of artists and anglers. On the right, we pass Cordwell's Mill, the only early Victorian water-powered flour mill that remains in Europe, and can be visited as a working museum. There are also craft workshops, including glass blowing, wood turning and ceramics. Opposite is the Peacock Hotel, where the Emperor Maximilian of Mexico and Mrs. Elizabeth Gaskell once stayed. If you wish to visit Cordwell's Mill, take the right-hand turn opposite the Peacock Hotel by the side of the village cross and round the back of the mill, where the car park and footpath to the mill is situated. If you do visit the mill, pause the tape now and switch on again when you return to the junction opposite the Peacock Hotel. Continuing in the same direction, and a little further along the A6, we go past the Grouse and Claret Inn on our left, where we need to keep a lookout. About 100 yards further on, where the main road bears right, we turn left for Baslow, Beeley and Chatsworth. Now, having taken this turn, 100 yards on we come to a housing estate on our left, called Hinckley Court. Almost opposite, we take the sharp right-hand turn, which is signposted single-track road with passing places. Drive up the hill, through the wooded area, where we meet a succession of steep, sharp S-bends. Continue until we reach the high moorland plateau, which is called Beeley Moor. Pause the tape at this point, and we will continue our journey when the road levels out at the summit. In mid to late August, the moor is covered with a fantastic carpet of purple heather. Continue along this narrow, straight road, where in late May to the middle of June, over to our right can be seen the beautiful rhododendron bushes lining the forest edge. After approximately 2 miles, we come to a junction, where we will be turning sharp left almost back on ourselves. Pause the tape now, and when we reach this junction, switch on again, and we will continue our journey. Now, having reached this junction, we turn left as previously stated, following the sign Beeley and Chatsworth. Carry on along this road across Beeley Moor for approximately 1.5 miles. The road on which we are now travelling runs arrow straight, and towards the end of this stretch of road we have magnificent panoramic views, and when we reach the sharp left-hand bend, it is possible to park here and take a stroll down the lane to our right before we make our descent, twisting and turning down the wooded valley and into the village of Beeley. Pause the tape now and continue our journey as soon as we reach the first houses in the village of Beeley. Having reached Beeley, which has been designated a conservation area and lies on the edge of the Chatsworth estate, we have the Devonshire Arms public house on our right, but bear left towards the junction with the main road. At the junction, turn right onto the B6012 to Baslow, and we now enter Chatsworth Park. Shortly, having joined the road, we pass the 12th century St Anne's Church on our right, and after approximately 1 mile, we pass Beeley Lodge on the right, and then we come upon a narrow humped-back bridge which spans the River Derwent and has one of only 3 sets of permanent traffic lights in the National Park. Switch off now until we reach the traffic lights on the humpback bridge. Now, shortly after the bridge, we come to a water trough on our left-hand side, and almost immediately after, also on our left, is the Carlton Leys car park. Turn into the car park. Pause the tape now, and when you have found somewhere to park, switch on again, and I will tell you some history and information about Chatsworth. Chatsworth House, which we will see shortly, is the home of the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire. Please refer to the brochure for opening and closing times of the house and gardens. This is one of the grandest country houses in England, having been built for Bess of Hardwick and her second husband, Sir William Cavendish, in 1708, with extensive additions being made in the 1820s. Chatsworth is indeed a treasure house, richly furnished and decorated throughout with painted walls and ceilings, wood carvings, elaborate inlay furniture, and wall hangings of leather and tapestry. The collection of paintings, drawings, sculpture, silver and porcelain is world famous. In addition, the grounds contain spectacular fountains and rocks, a cascade, a tropical greenhouse, and secluded walks. If you wish to take a stroll from this car park, head back towards the road and the cattle grid, where there is a small white gate opposite. Go through the gate and walk down to the River Derwent by the old corn mill. There is a footpath that follows the river all the way to the front of Chatsworth House. You may like to take this walk to the house if you're feeling energetic. For those who do not wish to do this, we will drive there shortly. Whilst you are in the park, keep a sharp lookout for the herds of deer that roam freely within the park. In addition, where we are at the moment affords us with an ideal opportunity to visit the Chatsworth Garden Centre, which is one of the finest in the county, and has gift shops and a cafeteria as well as its own car park. Switch off now if you visit the garden centre, or take a stroll down to the River Derwent, or maybe just sit, have a picnic and take in the view. Return to the tape when you wish to continue our journey, and I will give you further information of the route ahead. Moving forward from the car park, we head towards the cattle grid, turning left along the park road. Shortly after the cattle grid, as we start to rise, we will see the house down on our right-hand side. When travelling along this road and looking towards the house, on most afternoons we can see the Emperor Fountain, which rises from the lake in front of the house. As we drive along this beautiful parkland road and ascend to the brow of the hill, we see Edensor Church towering in front of us. Shortly, as we descend round the slow right-hand bend, we come to the turn on our right, which takes us directly to Chatsworth House. If the house is open and you wish to visit, there is a car park by the house from where we have access to the house itself and spectacular gardens. Additionally, there is a farmyard, adventure playground, cafe, and licensed restaurant. Pause the tape now, and just before the right-hand turn into Chatsworth House, switch on again. If you do not wish to visit the house at this time, our journey continues along the park road with a small picturesque cottage enclosed by a wall on our right-hand side. Almost immediately afterwards, on our left, we come to the large white gates and cattle grid, which leads us into the village of Edensor. Drive through these gates, as this village is well worth a visit. The houses are estate-owned, and each has different architecture, being built to individual designs around 1840, when the 6th Duke had the whole village and church moved from along the river, where they supposedly spoiled his view, to the present site. There is a Norman house and a Swiss and a Tudor cottage. All the occupants of the village work on the estate. In the grounds of Edensor Church, we will find the grave of President Kennedy's sister Kathleen, the Marchioness of Hartington, who was married to the Marquis of Hartington, the present Duke of Devonshire's brother. You will find refreshments in the Post Office Cafe. Return to the tape when you have visited Edensor, and I will give you further information about our route ahead. Leave the village by returning through the white gates and over the cattle grid, where we turn left and shortly go over a further cattle grid which indicates the park boundary. We are now travelling on the road towards Baslow. After approximately 3/4 of a mile, we come to a junction on our left. Our journey will bear right, continuing into the village of Baslow. But if you wish to turn left at this junction to visit the Chatsworth farm shop or the village of Pilsley, be certain to switch off and rejoin the tape when you return to the junction to take up our journey towards the village of Baslow on the B6012. Continuing our journey, and after approximately 1 mile, we will come to a roundabout on the outskirts of Baslow, where we drive to the right through the village and in the direction of Chesterfield. In Baslow you will find cafes, toilets, car parking and a number of hostelries, but our journey will continue straight through the village to the next roundabout, where we take the second exit along the A619 towards Chesterfield. Pause the tape, and when you have travelled through the village of Baslow towards the island and taken the A619 route to Chesterfield, switch on again as you climb the hill. Now, as we ascend, and after approximately 1 mile, when we emerge from the woods on either side of the road, we must look out for a small farmhouse on our left-hand side. Immediately after this farmhouse, we take the left-hand turn by the Robin Hood Inn towards Cutthorpe and Whittington on the B6050. Pause now, and when we have made this turn, switch on again, just past the Robin Hood Inn, where we will continue our journey. Continue along this road, which gradually rises from the public house for approximately 1.5 miles, after which we come to a left-hand turn. Take this road signposted Cutthorpe 3 miles on the B6050, which is signposted on the opposite side of the junction. Immediately after this left turn, there is another left turn. Take this road marked Kerber 4 miles and Calver 5 miles. Pause the tape again, and when you have made the second left-hand turn, return to the tape. We are now on an old packhorse route, and after a while along this road, we can see our route is arrow straight in front of us towards the horizon. Caution must be taken though, as when we reach the bottom of the hill, we meet the Baslow to Sheffield road, which we have to cross. Pause the tape now until we have crossed the main road. Having crossed the main road and approximately 1 mile further on, we come to one of the National Park's car parks on our right-hand side, the name of which is Caerber Gap. This is an ideal place to park and take in the expansive views which unfold in front of us from the ridge. Pause the tape now until you have parked in the car park, where I will give you further information. At the rear of the car park is a footpath towards a viewpoint seat, approximately 100 yards away, and which is also accessible by a wheelchair. The more adventurous of you may wish to walk for a short while along these gritstone edges. Switch off now and switch on again when you return to your car. Having visited the car park, turn right, and we now descend for a short while into the village of Caerber, leaving behind the gritstone rocks of Caerber Edge and Froggatt Edge. These are the famous eastern edges of the Peak District, which extend for approximately 15 miles. Looking forward and slightly right, the view we see is the vale of stony Middleton-Dale. Continue down the hill and through the village of Caerber, and as we approach the bottom of the hill, on our right-hand side can be seen a mill. This was used as a backdrop for the TV series Colditz. At the foot of the hill, we will reach a T-junction, opposite which is the Bridge Inn. Pause the tape now and switch on again when we reach the Bridge Inn, where our journey will turn towards the right. Having turned right opposite the Bridge Inn, we go over a small bridge, and then we come to the main junction with the A623 Chesterfield-Stockport-Manchester Road. At this junction, take the right-hand turn towards Stockport and Manchester. Continue along the main road until you reach the traffic lights. We are now in the village of Calver, formerly listed as Calvoir in the Domesday Book. This is now very much a commuter village, although evidence of a very early Anglo-Saxon settlement was revealed during exploration in 1860, when skeletons were found in the limestone rock. Lime burning was the very earliest form of industry here, along with lead mining, although neither exist today. At the traffic lights, turn left towards Bakewell on the B6001. Pause now and switch on again when you have made this turn. Having made the turn towards Bakewell, we travel along a cool, leafy road, which passes quarries on our right-hand side. These are a blight on the beautiful peatland scenery, but nevertheless part of the economic lifeblood of the area. The road we are now travelling on was formerly the turnpike between Stony Middleton and Bakewell. Continue along this road until we come to the hamlet of Hassop, after approximately 2 miles, with the Eyre Arms Inn immediately on our right-hand side. Pause here and switch on again when we see the sign on our left, indicating we are now in the hamlet of Hassop. We are now in the very small hamlet of Hassop, and ahead of us we will shortly come across the Hall, now a hotel and restaurant. And on our right-hand side is the rather large Wren-styled Roman Catholic Church of All Saints, built in 1816, which seems quite unexpected in this gentle setting. Continuing on through Hassop, we wind our way down through the tree-shrouded road, and after approximately 1 mile, we come to a traffic island, where we will continue straight ahead towards Bakewell. As I previously stated, our intended route is straight ahead, but as you go across the roundabout, there is the country bookstore in the old Hassop station, which you may be tempted to visit. However, beware, you may be trapped in longer than you anticipated, as this is an Aladdin's cave of maps and books on all subjects. Remember to switch off if you intend to visit the bookstore. To continue our journey into Bakewell, we will shortly come to a T-junction with the A619, where we turn right, keeping to the main road, and past the Peak Park offices on our right, and over the 5-arched bridge, back into the centre of Bakewell. If you wish to return to where we started our journey, follow the signs for the Marketplace car park. Now, Bakewell has approximately 4,000 inhabitants and provides a fascinating study into the growth of a small market town. The town was built at a convenient point to ford the River Wye, prior to the building of the fine 5-arched bridge seen today. It has both warm and cold springs, and one of the interesting buildings in the town is the bathhouse, which was built in 1697 by the Duke of Rutland, who wanted to establish Bakewell as a spa, similar in attraction to Buxton. But unfortunately the water was colder than that of Buxton, so his plan did not materialize. Although the bath is well preserved, sadly it is not open to the public. The Peak Park Joint Planning Board has its headquarters in Bakewell, and there is an excellent information centre in the 17th century Market Hall in Bridge Street. This charming town is ringed by green hills and situated by the river, noted for its brown and American rainbow trout. The church, standing proud in its elevated position overlooking the town, is well worth a visit. The churchyard contains a preaching stone, thought to date from the 8th century, which was found in the neighbouring hills. The town also has 2 old and very attractive bridges. The town bridge, with its 5 Gothic arches, was built in about 1300, and a little to the north, and close to the former cotton mill of Sir Richard Arkwright, a pack-horse bridge, which links the main road to the hamlet of Home, with its delightful Jacobean mansion known as Home Hall. There are extensive riverside walks along the Wye, and as you walk over the aforementioned 5-arch bridge, the meadows on the left are open to the public. Bakewell, as we know, is also justly famous for its puddings. Not tarts, please. The first one was made in the 19th century at the Rutland Arms Hotel, then kept by Mrs. Greaves, who told her cook she wanted a pastry case. The pastry being mixed in with a spongy mixture to make the case and topped with jam. The lady was then called away to attend to some visitors, and the cook either would not or could not take in what Mrs. Greaves wanted, and put the jam next to the pastry and the spongy mixture on top of that. It also had an unusual dark top, but the pudding was very well received by the important guests, who requested it again, and thereafter this was how the pudding was made. When the cook died, her secret recipe was left in her will to the schoolmaster, Mr. Radford, who passed it on to the Bloomer family, in whose care the recipe has resided ever since. Do have a stroll round and enjoy this delightful market town. The market is held every Monday and creates a very bustling atmosphere in this delightful place. I hope you have enjoyed your first trip from the town of Bakewell, and I look forward to joining you on the second tour of this series. Our journey today starts from the marketplace behind the Bakewell Information Centre and is approximately 27 miles long. Remember, if you are held up at the traffic lights or junctions, switch off until you are able to move on again. When you are ready to move forward, with the Peacock Hotel and the Queen's Hotel on our right, we move forward to the one-way system with the Wheatsheaf Hotel directly in front. Turn left and into the right-hand lane and travel over the Pelican Crossing towards the traffic island. Approaching the island, we will see directly ahead the Rutland Arms Hotel. Our journey continues almost straight ahead, taking the road immediately to the left-hand side of the Rutland Arms Hotel, signposted the B5055 to Monyash. Do not take the A6 to Matlock. Pause the tape now, and when you have taken the road to Monyash, switch on again. Continue rising out of Bakewell, past the small mews cottages and imposing church on our right. After a short while, having reached the summit of the hill, we come to a crossroads. Continue across the crossroads on our present road to Monyash. Approximately a quarter of a mile further on from the crossroads, we come to a sign on our left stating Over Haddon, Lathkill Dale, Craft Centre and Nature Reserve. Almost immediately after this sign, we turn left, and as the main road swings to the right, we continue following the signs for Over Haddon. Pause the tape now, and when you have made this left-hand turn to the village of Over Haddon, return to the tape to continue our journey. We are now climbing up this narrow, twisting road into the village. Having visited the village, we will shortly be returning along this road, which will give us excellent views over the Wye Valley and the market town of Bakewell. Shortly, we will travel past the sign which states we are now in the village of Over Haddon. On our left-hand side, we will see the Craft Centre car park. Pull in here, and opposite you will see the entrance to the Craft Centre. Just beyond, you will also see a sign pointing to the Lathkill Hotel, which has fine views over Lathkill Dale. When you have visited the Craft Centre or possibly the hotel and returned to your car, we will continue our journey. Pause the tape now and rejoin our journey when you are ready to leave the village. As I previously stated, we now travel back along the same road which took us into the village, but this time the spectacular views over the Wye Valley are now in front of us. As we already know, travelling down this road, we will shortly come back to the junction with the main Monyash to Bakewell road, where we need to turn right, again heading temporarily back towards Bakewell. Pause the tape again and when you have made this right-hand turn towards Bakewell, we will continue. Having turned right, we are now travelling on the road towards Bakewell, when we come to the crossroads we passed earlier. But this time, we turn right, following the sign to Youlgreave. We will then be driving past the Lady Manners School on our right, which was founded in 1636 by Grace, the widow of George Manners. Quite shortly after the school, we come to a T-junction, where we take the right-hand turn, continuing towards the village of Youlgreave, signposted opposite 2 3/4 miles. Pause now, and when you have made this turn, return to our journey. After approximately 1.5 miles on this road, we go round a sharp right-hand bend, where we will be overlooking the village of Youlgreave in the distance, with its towered church in the foreground. Continuing along this road, we descend into the bends, where there is an area to park on the right, from where you can walk down to the bridge and stroll along the dale with its well-made footpath and wheelchair access. We then go over an extremely old packhorse bridge known as Conksbury Bridge, which straddles the river Lathkill at the end of Lathkill Dale. Pause the tape now and switch on again when you return to your car if you wish to take a stroll or when we reach the bridge. Our journey continues over the bridge and up the very narrow section of road leading to a farmhouse on our right. Immediately on reaching the farmhouse, with its imposing yew tree in the foreground, we turn left to Youlgreave village, signposted 3/4 mile and indicated single-track road with passing places. As we come into the village of Youlgreave, we meet a junction with the George Hotel on our left and the church opposite. Pause the tape now, and when we reach the junction at the George Hotel, switch on again. Caution is needed at this junction, as traffic from the right is blind. Opposite, you will see a traffic control mirror in front of the church. Take care to look in the mirror to ensure the main street is clear towards our right, and then turn right along the village street. Whilst you drive, I will tell you a little more about the village of Youlgreave. The name Youlgreave has changed many times over the years. In medieval times, it was called Iolagraph, which roughly translated means Yellow Grove. But in the village church, called All Saints' Church, as far back as 1778, it was spelt as it is today. Even so, it is still subjected to various interpretations, and the local name for the village is Pommy. There is not a large resident population here, but it attracts many visitors, especially during the week in which St. John the Baptist Day falls, when all 5 wells are dressed and the village is very festive. If you wish, take a stroll along the narrow, twisting main street with its fine mixture of old buildings. There are toilets by the red phone box in the centre of the village, opposite the old hall. Pause the tape at this point, and when you reach the red telephone box on our left, near the toilets, and you are ready to continue, return to the tape. Continuing our journey through the village and past the farmyard inn on our right, further along we come to another toilet and car park as we leave the village. Immediately afterwards on our right we will see the village allotments. As the road sweeps sharply to the right, we turn left at the junction, turning towards the village known as Middleton-by-Youlgreave, signposted 3/4 of a mile. Pause the tape again and return to our journey, having made this left turn. As we approach the village, the valley of Bradford Dale lies below us on our left. When we enter this quaint little village with its large open square in the centre, it is possible to park your car, and there are toilets, public seating and various places where you can take a stroll. Pause the tape now, and when we reach the village centre, switch on again when you wish to restart our journey. To continue our tour, we need to bear right towards the road signposted Newhaven 3 miles, Ashbourne 12 miles. Our journey lies out of the village, climbing the hill, past the red phone box, and after approximately a half a mile, we take the first right-hand turn, signposted Monyash 5 miles. Pause the tape again, and when you have taken this right-hand turn, I will give you further instructions. After a short while, we come to a crossroads, where we continue straight ahead, following the signs for Monyash, 4.5 miles, and White Peak Scenic Route. Half a mile further on, we reach a T-junction, and our journey goes left to Monyash. Pause the tape again until you have made this second turn to Monyash. After approximately 1 mile, and as we leave the trees behind, we come to the open pastures. Shortly on our left, we will come to one of Britain's finest Neolithic monuments, called Arbor Low, a large stone circle, often referred to as the Stonehenge of the peak. Situated at an altitude of 1,200 feet above sea level, this is one of the three largest late Neolithic or early Bronze Age stone circles in England. The purpose of this circle is unknown. Possibly it was a meeting point or place of worship, similar to, though not as extensive as Stonehenge. Generally, the name Low, which abounds in the peak, means mound, burial mound or hill. Some 350 yards away from the main circle is a Bronze Age round barrow, dating back to 1600 to 1400 BC. Unfortunately, neither are visible from the road, but are accessible along the farm track and through the farmyard, which is a walk of approximately a quarter of a mile from the road. Or there is a designated parking available near the farmyard, for which there is a token charge. Look out on our right-hand side for the brown-coloured marker post leading us to the site. Switch off now and return to the tape when you reach the coloured marker post or after you have visited the Arbor Low site. After half a mile from the Arbor Low site, we come to a T-junction, where our journey goes to the right. Pause now and switch on again when you have made this right-hand turn to Monyash. Follow this road for the next 2 miles, and after our initial ascent, we go along the straight, narrow road before descending into the village of Monyash. The road we will be travelling on affords us extensive views over a patchwork of fields extending towards the horizon. When we arrive in the centre of Monyash, we come to a crossroads. Here our journey lies straight ahead, crossing the B5055 Bakewell to Buxton road. But you may wish to park in the village and take a stroll. There is ample car parking just past the red telephone box, directly across from the junction on the left. Also within the village you will find a shop, newsagents, cafe and public house. Switch off now and I will leave you to enjoy your drive into the village, and when you have crossed over the junction, switch on again. Pull in the car park straight ahead past the red telephone box. Whilst you park, I will tell you a little about Monyash. Those who wish to take a stroll will find on the village green an interesting plaque which tells you that the village has won an award from the Council for the Protection of Rural England and the Integrated Rural Development Project, in recognition of their distinguished contribution to the environment. Also, whilst on the village green, if you care to walk back, you will see another notice testifying that in 1986 the local people received the Best Natural Village Award. Monyash, like so many small peak villages, grew up as a lead mining centre, and there are some unused and occasionally uncovered mine shafts in the locality. Pause now and continue our journey when you return to your car. To continue in the same direction, follow the road signposted towards the village of Flag, passing the Methodist chapel opposite the car park. A few hundred yards after the chapel, we take the right-hand turn toward Sheldon, which is signposted on the left-hand side of the road by the tree, where the road dips sharply out of the village and into a hollow. Pause the tape now until you have made this right-hand turn to Sheldon. The road which stretches before us for approximately 1¼ miles was once an old pack-horse route. Note how far apart the walls are in relation to the narrowness of the road. The reason for this is that prior to a hard surface being laid, the lane in winter was constantly rutted by the hooves and wheels of the pack-horse trains, and, as a result, the width of the road was determined by the drovers, who were known as jaggers, trying to find a smoother route through the mud. When we reach the next junction, our journey turns to the right, following the signs for Ashford 2 miles, Bakewell 3 miles. Switch off now, and having made this right turn, rejoin the tape. Shortly on our left, we see the preserved remains of Magpie Mine, which was one of the most substantial lead mines in the country. The road to the mine is private, but is a public footpath. Lead mining was one of the most prolific industries in the Peak District, dating from Roman times, and this mine was worked for over 2 centuries. Having travelled a little further on from Magpie Mine, the road sweeps to the right, but we turn left off the bend and down the hill, signposted Ashford 1 mile, into the valley known as Kirkdale. Just before the road enters the woods, we turn left, taking the road signposted Sheldon 3/4 mile. Pause again, and when you have made the left-hand turn to Sheldon, we will continue. Rising up the steep bank, we continue along into the village. Sheldon is a charming village which once had a thriving population employed in lead mining, which has since declined. The village has been used as a backdrop for several television and film productions. For the past 25 years, the village did not have a public house, but the Cock and Pullet was opened in 1995, much to the relief of villagers and visitors alike. Sheldon also has a beautiful small church, which has a spectacular internal roof structure. Switch off now if you wish to visit the village, and rejoin the tape on your return. As we leave the village, we see Magpie Mine once more on our left, which is now used as a field centre. Water has always been a problem at this mine, since it went so far down below the drainage sough level that flooding was frequent, and probably 8 to 9 million gallons had to be pumped away every day. Sheldon, however, which lies so close, found that obtaining water for daily use was extremely difficult. Shortly afterwards we come to a T-junction, where our journey goes to the right, signposted Flag 2 miles, Chelmorton 4. Pause now, and having made the turn, switch on again. As we travel along this straight road, there is a long lay-by on our left-hand side, where, looking towards our right, we have a spectacular view down the valley, known as Deepdale. Also, as we continue to drive along this road, we have a chance to appreciate the amount of time and hard work that goes into building the dry stone walls which reach out towards the horizon. Now I will let you travel for the next 2 miles amongst these dry stone walls, across the first crossroads and also the second. Do not turn off until we come to a small coppice with a road coming in on our right, signposted to the village of Taddington. If you pass the village sign on the left-hand grass verge, stating we have reached the village of Chelmorton, you have gone a little too far. Listen to the music for a while as you travel along this road until I give you further information. Pause now, and when you have turned towards Taddington by the small wood on the junction, switch on again. Continue along the road towards Taddington, and shortly after the junction we come to a fork in the road. Bear right and proceed along this straight and narrow road, known as Moor Lane, with spectacular views over to our right. After a short while, on our left, we pass a large 3-story farmhouse known as Moor Grange, which is surrounded by trees. Pause now and rejoin the tape when you reach the farmhouse. Almost immediately after, the road appears to continue straight ahead, but we need to bear left towards the village of Taddington. Shortly after this fork, we approach one of the most magnificent views in the Peak District. Caution is required if you are pulling up to admire the view, as the road is narrow, and please try to park on some of the wide grass verges that are available. We now descend into the village of Taddington. Pause now, and as we approach the 30-mile-an-hour signs at the bottom of the hill and just before the crossroads, we will continue. At the crossroads, turn right, following the sign for Ashford, and we will be travelling for a short while down School Lane until we reach another set of crossroads. This time we give way and then continue straight ahead and down through the village, with the Church of St. Michael and All Angels on our left-hand side. Taddington is one of the highest villages in England, standing at a height of 1,200 feet. If you wish to park and look around, visit the church or public house, remember to switch off whenever you park. The main A6 trunk road from Manchester to Derby used to travel through the village, but with the building of the bypass in 1937, life is much quieter now, although we are reminded of bygone days by the old iron London milepost standing at the side of the road, just past the phone box on our right. After a while, we come to the Queen's Arms on our left, the only public house in the village. Shortly after the inn, we come to a fork in the road. On the fork, there is a signpost which states Town End, where we need to bear left, continuing our journey to Ashford and Bakewell, until we reach the junction with the main A6 and its dual carriageway, where we cross over and turn right and down the valley. Pause now, and when you have made the turn across the dual carriageway and down the valley, switch on again. We are now descending through Taddington Dale, some of which is owned by the National Trust. Taddington Dale must be one of the loveliest of the Peak's beauty spots. The road winds down through towering trees, flattening out along the plain of the River Wye, with great Shacklow Wood on our right, which looks lovely at all times of the year, but especially so in autumn. As we come out of the wooded dale, on our left, we see a National Park sign indicating a picnic area 300 yards ahead. Almost immediately on our right-hand side, you will find the entrance to White Lodge Car Park, with its picnic tables and public toilets, which are situated towards the rear of the car park. The more energetic of us may wish to take a stroll along the Monsal Dale, which lies across the road from the car park. It is suggested that you park your car here and stretch your legs, or just sit and have a breath of fresh air in these beautiful surroundings. Switch off now, and when you are ready, we will continue our journey by leaving the car park and turning right. Resuming our journey, and after approximately 1 mile further along the main road, we come to a sharp left-hand bend, known locally as Black Rock Corner, as there is an outcrop of basalt rock on the bend. Immediately after, there is a lay-by also on our left. If you wish to pull in at this lay-by and take a stroll across the road, you will see a track leading down to the river, and a small bridge over which are the remains of the recently restored bobbin mill. Its name indicates the industry which took place here, when it supplied the mills of Cressbrook and Lytton with bobbins, to enable them to wind their yarns. Remember to pause the tape if you visit the mill. Continuing our journey, and approximately half a mile after the bobbin mill, we come to a junction on our left, where we need to turn into the village of Ashford-in-the-Water by the first house we come to. This house, known as Marble Cottage, was originally part of the Ashford black marble workings. Pause now, and when you have turned to Ashford by the cottage, I will tell you a little about the village. As we enter Ashford, there is a roofed seat on the village green. Our journey into the village bears right and round the green, but opposite is the village car park and toilets. You will no doubt also find car parking spaces further down the village street. Whilst you park, I will tell you a little more about this delightful village. Ashford, with its 2 inns, fine church and mellow stone cottages, is an ideal place to explore. Here you will find the ancient and picturesque Sheepwash Bridge, which acts as a magnet for artists and photographers who wish to capture its beauty. Within the village you will see the Holy Trinity Church and Cemetery, where you could easily imagine Thomas Gray writing his elegy in a country churchyard. The people of Ashford still pay homage for the abundant water supply by blessing the 6 wells every year, a spectacle which attracts visitors from all over the country. Indeed, as many as 12,000 people pass through the church during well-dressing week. If you are here on Sunday afternoons, you could watch a typical village cricket match whilst having your tea. Apart from farming hereabouts and the ever-present lead mining, which was abundant in the Domesday Book era, it was quite common for local families to have a stocking knitting machine in their home. There were between 70 and 80 in 1829. There was also a cottage industry, which worked with the local black marble to create decorated and inlaid artifacts, such as vases, clocks, tables and jewellery. And the resourceful among the community also made candles. Switch off now and take a stroll round this delightful village. To continue our journey through the village, follow the signs for Matlock 10 miles, and passing the Ashford Hotel on our right, we come to a T-junction, opposite which is the cricket pitch. Turn right and continue to the next T-junction, where we will rejoin the main A6 Bakewell to Buxton road. Turn left and proceed along this road for the next 2 miles, whilst I tell you a little more about the market town of Bakewell. This will bring us back to the traffic island in the centre of Bakewell by the Rutland Arms Hotel. As I previously stated on Route 1 of the Bakewell series, the Church of All Saints, the parish church of Bakewell, is dramatically situated on a knoll on the steep hillside to the west of the River Wye. It is well worth walking up to the church, where you will get an elevated view over this small market town, nestling gently in the Wye Valley. Having reached the church, and having had a look round, you may wish to walk to the back of the churchyard and along the road to seek out the Old House Museum. The house, built in 1534, is one of the oldest houses in Bakewell. It is built in local limestone, with the interior walls made with wattle and daub. The house was to have been demolished, but was saved by the Bakewell and District Historical Society, who restored it and converted it to make an excellent museum. If you walk down the main street, the A6 to Matlock Road, past the Manners Hotel on our right, almost immediately after you come to a filling station on our left. Just after the filling station is access to the recreation ground, where you can stroll across the open parkland towards the river at the far end. This makes a splendid short riverside walk, returning us to the Five-Arch Bridge, where you will find many species of well-fed waterfowl. When you have parked your car after the journey, you may simply like to sit in the Bath Gardens, in the square opposite the traffic island, which is an ideal place to relax and observe this wonderful market town. Once again, I hope you have enjoyed your second drive from Bakewell, and I look forward to joining you on one of the other Discovery tapes in this series, which covers the Peak District National Park.